SpaceX is finally going public, so I'm going to go over some details of the IPO as well as what you can expect over the next 12 months from the stock. And I'm also going to go over the stock market in general and how the SpaceX IPO could affect the stock market and why you can expect some maybe not so good gains. And then I'm also just going to go over my $100,000 challenge, which is in week 53. Let's get into it. All right, so before I get into this video, I'm going to quickly address the elephant in the room. Maybe it is, I've had a few people comment, oh, you sound drunk or something, or woozy. It is 12:30, going to be 1 a.m. Pacific time. I have 2 children. I work at Fox Sports, so we're dealing with the World Cup, and I just work crazy hours. I also do weddings and other side hustles, so as a videographer. So I am busy. Did I already mention I have 2 kids? I have 2 kids. So that's that. And so if you hear me, that's why. I still just want to put out these videos, but at the same time, I know how I might sound. It is what it is. So let's go over the SpaceX IPO. Will the stocks keep running even with the SpaceX IPO? And then also my $100,000 challenge, week 53. If you can, please give me a like and subscribe. It keeps me up a little bit. So let's go over the SpaceX IPO. And I'm going to go over this really quick. I've had a very exhausting weekend. So the ticker symbol is going to be SPCX. The target fixed share price is $135, which is a little bit different than usual. We'll go over that later. And it's going to raise about $75 billion for the company at a $1.75 trillion valuation. Its trading is set to begin on June 12th. They're selling about 555.6 million shares. They're actually, I think, selling 555.5 because Elon likes all the numbers to be the same. In a highly unusual move, Elon Musk opted for a fixed IPO price of $135 rather than establishing a price range, which is established by analysts. Because of the unprecedented demand for the stock, up to 30% of the offering will be to individual investors. It's significantly higher. It is a significantly higher retail split than a typically large scale IPO. Sorry, again, it's late. You can submit indications of interest to your brokerage, and this is how to buy shares. If I didn't mention that, that's how to buy some shares, right? So what's going to happen with the market following its merger with XAI? It's now both seen as aerospace and artificial intelligence, but it is expected to trigger price dislocations and market volatility as institutional and retail investors liquidate other assets to fund their SpaceX purchases, right? So there's going to be people that are like, oh, I hold this stock, but I don't want this stock. I'd rather sell this stock so I can go buy some SpaceX. That's going to happen in this first little while. So this is kind of what to expect, right? How do IPO stocks do in the first 12 months? Well, the short answer is it's a wild ride. The first month, honeymoon, hype is real, right? Price pops. The month 2 to 3, reality check, some of the hype fades, volatility starts to kick in. Months 4 to 6, the finding out, earnings, lockups, competition. Month 7 to 9, the bottom possibly. Pain peaks, but the smart money starts to look again, and then they come back months 10 to 12. You can start seeing them come back, maybe, right? So the reality is about 40, maybe half of the IPOs are up after a year, 10 to 15 are flat, and 40 to 45 are down. So you got this range of, it depends on the business, right? I do expect, my personal opinion, the IPO of the SpaceX stock to go up initially and then go down over the next 12 months or so, and then go up, from the IPO price. But you have to remember the IPO price and then when it actually starts hitting the market. So we'll see what that is. But we're also going to see the differences. Let's look at the differences between the typical IPO and SpaceX. So we already kind of went over what a typical one looks like, right? But SpaceX is a little bit different. So let's go over it. The IPO date says largest IPO ever, massive demand, history in the making. But most shares are going to stay locked up. Very few are available to trade, so there will be a tight supply. In the day 5, it will be in the Russell Index. By day 10, the MSCI, and then day 15, the NASDAQ 100. So that means automatic buying from each one of these funds. This is a huge one. Day 15 for the NASDAQ, it's going to be that means those funds, it's going to be a lot, right? So then you have the passive funds must buy, and then you have demand is going to continue to rise because supply stays cheap or tight. Month 12, the S&P 500 is still going to go. So that's going to be later, but the NASDAQ, it will, right? So what you can kind of assume is, at least in the very beginning, it's front running into the market, essentially. It is like just jumping the gun. I mean, rightfully so. It is a big company, but it's kind of getting into the indexes really quickly, but at the same time, they are limiting supply, and they're giving a lot of the supply to retail investors rather than just the big institutions. So that's really nice. So it's going to be interesting. I hope SpaceX continues to go up and up. I know someone who used to work at SpaceX, and they have stock in it. So I hope it goes up for their sake. And I would like to buy some. I don't know when. I think I'm going to wait till after month 2 to 3, and then I might dip into some SpaceX, but I'm not going to buy right away. So let's get into a stock market update. Again, quickly, I quickly just want to go through this because I'm exhausted. The S&P 500 is up 16% in the last 67 days. The NASDAQ is up 23% in the last 67 days, but as you can see, both of them have this dip at the end, right? Friday was bad. Nvidia down 4%. Google down 4%, Meta down 6%, Amazon down 10% basically, Broadcom down 11%, Microsoft, it was a bloodbath, right? Tesla down 11%. So yeah, it was not good. We went from neutral to fear. We were in greed just a week ago, then we went to neutral, and then we're into fear. So how the tides can turn very quickly, but yet the AAII Sentiment Investor Survey, the bulls aren't going anywhere really, right? They didn't go anywhere. But this was before Friday. But what changed? Nothing changed. SpaceX is going to go, right? And that's one thing about the SpaceX IPO, is that it's going to suck a lot of funds and liquidity out of the other stocks. So it doesn't necessarily mean the stock market in general is going to go down. It just means some stocks are going to have a hard time for maybe this next week or something, because people are going to be taking out some. It shouldn't do that big of a deal, right? They're going to be raising $75 billion or something. That's what it was. So that's, it's not going to be that much of the market. It basically, if that's what it was, then it's Friday. What Friday went down, then that was the SpaceX right there. Now, hopefully, we're good from here. So let's go over what happened last week. The U.S. labor market added about 172,000 non-farm payroll jobs in May, which was significantly outperforming Wall Street forecasts of 105, and the unemployment rate held steady at 4.3%. Cool PCE data. So the core PCE rose just 0.2 to drop the annual rate to 3.8%. A fresh downward revision to the GDP showed growth cooling to a more moderate 1.6 annualized rate. So that's kind of good when it comes to the interest rates. On Friday, we had a heavy wave of afternoon institutional selling. The sudden downside momentum caused the S&P 500 to go into negative territory for the week, officially snapping its historic 9-week winning streak. So, again, nothing really was big news, but sometimes the stock market gets exhausted from winning. Not every, you got the Boston Celtics back in the day. They didn't win forever. Lakers haven't won forever, and then recent Golden State didn't win forever, right? So that's just how it is. But when you look at the market, this is what happened on Friday. Look at the week. It went well. We kind of dipped a little Thursday, and then Friday we just tumbled. When you look at Micron, AMD, Nvidia, Micron down huge, right? And then we have Google. All of the Google was not even up, but it was up like at least down the least. It was down 2%, but look at Microsoft down 10% for the week. So not good. Next week's news. What should we be looking forward to next week? So the Bureau of Labor and Statistics will drop the highly anticipated May consumer price index (CPI) figures on June 10th. Overseas monetary policy takes center stage on Thursday, June 11th, during the European Central Bank's rate announcement. And then this came out, it's like, rumors of massive tech space IPO. We all know what's happening next week. It's the SpaceX IPO, right? It will be a massive selling event, triggering big price dislocations across the stock market as investors dump shares to buy SpaceX. Now, like I said, what they're raising, the stock market is so big. If you were to wipe out all of whatever SpaceX is going to offer, right, 75 million or billion, it's still like such a dent in the actual stock market and as a whole. So it shouldn't continue to do too much, but it is possible that it's going to have a little bit. So let's go quickly. Again, Friday, June 12th is when it's going to happen. SPCX, 135 a share. Estimated 1.77 trillion is how big the company is going to be, the valuation. And they're going to set 30% aside for retail investors. So that's pretty nice. Let's go over next week's earnings, which is, again, nothing too big. We're kind of down at the end. We're done. Earnings season is over. We have Oracle and Adobe. And then we have Hooker. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. I don't even know what that company. $100,000 stock market challenge, week 53. So I just went over my year. I had my year anniversary last week. And so let's go over it now. We're officially into year 2 of my $100,000 challenge. I'm at $9,145.36. So yesterday, or the last trading day, Friday, it was a bloodbath. So I went down about almost 7%. It is what it is. Things are going to happen. You know, everything went down for the whole week. Everything was pretty down. But as you can see, HIMS was the only one that was barely up. And even HIMS on that day, Friday, went down 6.5%. So we'll see exactly what's going to happen this next week. My weekly change, I went down 8% against my goal, negative 22%. June 2nd, since June 2nd of 2025, I'm up 24%. That's when I started the challenge. But if I take away all my $50 deposits and including the extra 400 that I put in when I saw the market really going down, 17%. So down. So again, not too good. That's but I'm okay with that, because not okay with it, but I started this challenge and I have to constantly remind people. I don't know how many people I'm actually reminding, who's actually watching this, but I started this challenge when HIMS was in the 50s. Celsius was in the 40s, high 30s to 40s. So I knew HIMS was going to go down. At some point I did sell 10 shares of HIMS at 58, and I've been buying more as the time has gone on. But again, I just started a challenge and I've been buying some stocks. I made some mistakes, like a Fubo, Adobe a little bit. I made some mistakes, but I also had some successful trades and successful investments. So I'm just going to keep riding it out, because this is a long-term investment that I'm doing in myself when it comes to this YouTube. You know, like I said, this is so late. I probably sound drowsy. It's almost 1 a.m. now, but I feel like this puts accountability. I'm always learning more every single day. I'm putting a little bit of time into doing this stuff, but I understand production. I can make it happen fairly quick, you know, but I do enjoy sharing information, going through my own challenges, letting you know the mistakes that I make and stuff that I'm looking at. And I do eventually think that this portfolio is going to grow significantly with the investments I've made. I think it's going to go up. I mean, I was just at 10,000 and now I'm at 9,000 basically, right? Just because the whole market had a bad day. The market will go up again. I will be fine. I will be okay. So Wow, I can hear how drowsy I sound right now. But anyway, okay? These are my my transactions that I did. I bought some Micron, some Salesforce, some ServiceNow, and I sold my Oddity. It went in the crapper. I only had 12 shares, not much. It was $117. I was down heavy on it, like 50%. So I lost about $100. So that was another one that you know, it looked good. The numbers looked good. And then a big story came out pretty quickly after I started a position about how, and I'm glad it happened pretty soon, like quickly after I started the position at least, about, their advertisements and how they had an advertisement mistake essentially with their AI or something. Basically, Meta's AI messed up their advertising and it wrecked their revenue. And they're saying that Oddity is really reliant on marketing and advertisements and getting that out there. And they don't have a core base yet. So it's really hurt the stock. They expect the revenue and everything to go down. So because of that, I sold and I'm done with that. And I wanted to consolidate a little bit more. I didn't want to be too diverse with my portfolio. So thank you for watching. Please give a like and subscribe to support this father. But yeah, that's all I got to say for this week and next week. What to look forward to. SpaceX IPO is going to be pretty crazy. And yeah, just that's only 16 minutes. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to go get some sleep after I throw a couple edits on this, export it out, upload it, and add the description. It takes some time to do this. So that's why I like people who subscribe and leave comments and like it, because it helps. If I can start making money off this a little bit and eventually a lot of it, it'll be nice. So anyway, thanks for watching. I do appreciate everyone who does watch, like, subscribes, all that. And yeah, never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.